Hi everybody, welcome to another video on ethics and corporate governance. In this video, I will be discussing the Professional Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants. What we will be looking at is to have an understanding of the requirements of the International Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants that has been published by the International Federation of Accountants. What we will examine is the 5 fundamental principles that are prescribed in the International Code of Ethics that professional accountants will need to try to adhere to in exercising their role as professional accountants. Now, in exercising our role as professional accountants, we will always and we will be constantly be challenged in terms of our ethical behavior. So the Code of Ethics also prescribes a framework, a process in which we can identify these threats, assess them, and then try to address them by either eliminating them or to at least minimize them so that we are in compliance with the ethical codes. Let's start by looking at first briefly the International Federation of Accountants, or better known as IFAC. IFAC is a global organization of professional accountants. It encompasses members comprising 180 organizations in over 135 countries. So it includes a Malaysian professional accounting associations such as the Malaysian Institute of Accountants, the Malaysian Institute of Certified Public Accountants, and also organizations in the UK, ACCA, ICAW, CIMA, and also CPA in Australia. So the IFAC is a global organization that represents all the over 3 million professional accountants in the world. And IFAC supports the International Ethics Standards Board for Accountants, which were the ones that had developed these code of ethics for professional accountants. Now, this code of ethics for professional accountants has been developed on the basis that the professional accountants serve the public interests. We provide information that is important and critical to the functioning of an economy, and by extension also the welfare of society. So as a result, we have a responsibility to act in the interests of the public. And as a result, we need to have certain standards of behavior. The standards of behavior is important because the society, the economy, institutions within the economy needs to have confidence in the work that the accountants provide. Some of the elements of these is confidence that affects the confidence is that the professional accountants need to adhere to a set of ethical principles or standards of behavior. We must use our knowledge and experience in business to advise or to provide appropriate advice to our employers and to our clients. And this will require us to have the necessary competencies in terms of knowledge and skills so that we can apply these knowledge and skills in our work as a professional accountant. And we must always constantly exercise professional judgment, exercise professional level behavior when we are doing our work as professional accountants. Therefore, it's necessary and very important that we have a set of code of ethics for professional accountants. So this code of ethics of professional accountants prescribed fundamental principles by which professional accountants must behave or should behave in an ethical manner. So it establishes the minimum standards of behavior that is expected of all professional accountants. And as I said just now, we will constantly be challenged in terms of acting in an ethical manner. And as a result, we need to have a process in which we identify, we evaluate and assess, and then we address and tackle these threats to compliance with these ethical codes. So let's now look at these fundamental principles. There are 5 of them. The first one is integrity, there is objectivity, professional competence and due care, confidentiality, and then we have professional behavior. So let's look at them carefully one by one. Let's start with integrity. Integrity is a value that professional accountants must subscribe to, which is to be straightforward, to be honest in whatever dealings that we have. We must act fairly, and we must be impartial in the way we do our work. And we must always try to represent the truth. We must tell the truth. We must report what actually happened and not an image of what has happened. So fair dealing and truthfulness is part of this integrity. And integrity is also the courage to stand our ground when we know something is wrong. We must say so. We must not waver in our opinion when we know we are right. We must not allow other people to influence us. We must also challenge the truth. We must not accept truth in a superficial manner. So we must prepare to ask the deep questions, the difficult questions, so that we get to the truth as far as we can. So the first principle is integrity. The second principle, which is related to the first principle, is objectivity. That we must, when we are carrying out our duty as a professional accountant and making judgments, we must not let our any conflict of interest or any biasness in the way we make our judgment. We must always be impartial. We must not reflect one view. We must have an objective view. We must have an independent view. So we must not let our position be compromised by a conflict of interest. For example, professional accountants have got our commercial interests. We also have the responsibility of serving the public, and we must not let that conflict. We must always try to serve the public first and not compromise it with the commercial interests that we may have as well. We must not be unduly influenced by other parties, other group of people, right? That's also very important to ensure that we are objective and we are independent in the way we make our judgments. The third principle is professional competence and due care. So in order for us to function as a professional accountant, to provide advice, we need to attain and maintain constantly our professional knowledge and skills. We need to be kept up to date. If there are new knowledge, we need to know that as much as we can. Why is that important? Because without that knowledge, without an in-depth knowledge and extensive skills, we will not be able to make a sound judgment, a judgment based on knowledge, judgment based on reasoning, judgment based on logic, that is backed by rational thinking, right? So therefore, we need to always have a certain level of professional knowledge. We also need to act diligently in accordance with whatever standards out there. What does it mean by acting diligently is always be careful, be very detailed in looking at things and examining things. Be very thorough, right, and not having a superficial understanding of the situation. Ask questions and keep asking, have a skeptical mind, and always ask the right questions. But we also must act timely, because information that is delayed is of no use to anyone. So we must also have the urgency to act, and respond quickly. So that's all part of doing our work competently and with due care. Then we have confidentiality, which is that we need to always respect that information that we've acquired as a result of our profession and our business dealings should be, the confidentiality of that information needs to be respected. We cannot use it for our own personal interests, for example. So we need to ensure that when we are serving the public interest, with the confidence that the public place on our work, we need to protect the confidentiality of the information that we are using, all right, and not to use it for our own benefit, not to disclose it to everyone. Of course, there are exceptions to these rules, because the overarching objective is to serve the public, to serve the greater good. So if we find something wrong and we are required by law, even if we are not required by law, but it's our professional duty to disclose, then we should disclose, because the overarching responsibility is to serve the general public. And last but not least is to constantly act in a professional manner. That means that we must comply with all the relevant laws and regulations, and we must be up to date with these relevant laws and regulations. We must behave in a manner consistent with serving the public interests. So we must always be mindful that we must not only appear to be behave independently, but also must appear to be independent by the public. So we must avoid any conduct that might discredit the profession in any way. This may even include the way we advertise our function, our role. We cannot over-promise things as well. So that's part of behaving in a professional manner. So those are the 5 principles that is prescribed in the Code of Ethics. Now, as I said, we will be constantly challenged to comply with these ethical principles. So what is the framework in which we can use in order to identify and assess and then reduce or mitigate these challenges? So the code, I have stated that the framework that we will use is first to identify any threats to the compliance of these codes, of these principles, evaluate the threats and see how serious the threat is, and then try to address it by either eliminating it completely or to reduce it. So a simple example would be, let's say you've been an auditor for this particular company for many years now, and recently you realize that one of your relatives have assumed the position of chief financial officer in the company that you are auditing. So you must identify that this is a threat to your independence, your objectivity, and this is a serious threat because you will no longer be able to function as an auditor in an unbiased and impartial manner. So as a result, you need to then try to, as soon as you can, address this threat, which is either to relinquish that client or that job, or pass it on to another partner who can function as an auditor in place of you. So that's the conceptual framework. That's the manner in which you should identify, to evaluate, and to assess or address the challenges to these ethical standards. And in applying that conceptual framework, we as professional accountants need to constantly have an inquiring mind, to be skeptical all the time, and to keep asking questions and not just accepting them in a superficial manner. We must always exercise our professional judgment. Remember to exercise due care, to be careful to make sure that we are in compliance with laws and regulations. And we must always evaluate what we do by looking at things from an outsider point of view, from a reasonable informed third party test, which means will someone from an outside position looking at what we have just done, will they then say that we are independent? Will they then say that we have done the ethically correct thing? Right? So we must use that to test our behavior and our actions. So, in summary, what we have looked at today is a brief look at the IESPA Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants. We have explored the 5 fundamental principles, which are the integrity, which then we have objectivity, professional competence and due care. We have confidentiality, and then we have professional behavior. We also look at how we can identify and evaluate and then address any threats that could occur on these ethical principles. So I hope it's been useful, this video, and I look forward to seeing you in another video. Bye for now.